Don't legendary Kerry King. So let's start with the. There's some different phases on you on songwriting. You have the first phase with when you shared the job with the late Jeff Hanneman. Then you assumed the job from you exclusively on Slayer. Now you have a different way of producing songs, songwriting. It's like a blank page for a band that you created yourself. How's that for you to have this blank page, even if you have a more melodic singer now, Marcos Ayeda? So how's that for you, like composing for yourself, not for Slayer or not with Japan?
It's incredibly similar.
Really?
Really. Me and Jeff didn't collaborate since probably God Hates Us All. And the only reason that is, we didn't have problems with each other. Jeff just lived so far away. And he lived in a direction that none of us went to. So generally when we had rehearsals, I would bring in songs that I had finished and he would bring in songs that he had finished. Or songs that he wanted Tom to write lyrics for because I generally finished my stuff myself. So at the end of the Hanneman era, that's how that was. And then when there was no Jeff, I wrote most everything except for if we had anything left over from Jeff that he presented. And then from Hell I Rise, I did everything. But with Repentless, I did probably 95% of it. So it was very similar, and the writing was exactly the same because it was me and all those staff. Generally, when we're in rehearsals, we would be the ones that would go all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So putting songs together has been the same for me for the last 15 years. So, and I didn't write lyrics for Marcos Ayeda. I wrote lyrics for the songs, for whoever was going to sing. Because when I wrote the songs, I didn't know who the singer was going to be yet. So I did scratch vocals on everything. So when he heard the songs, he knew how the vocals went, and he just had to learn the lyrics and then sing them himself.
Okay. And it's been a year since the release of the record, and so far in 2025, you've done like 29 shows in the North American tour. Now you have the South American tour in Brazil, then you go on summer for the European tour, and you guys that shows that you guys are for real. This is your band now, I suppose. And how do you analyze this first year of the band since the release of the record?
Well, like a month ago, we got done with the U.S. run. We had a couple of U.S. runs because in the summer we did the Land of God, Mastodon, Slayer. I still say Slayer, Jesus fucking Christ. it's in my head. Land of God, Mastodon, Kerry King. So we did that during the summer, and then we got to come out and do our first headline tour, January and February, and that was killer because we got to play a full set. We played an hour and a half. Brought out, more production for a headlining set, and I think on that tour, the band, we've been good. Like we started playing last May live. But every time we go out, we get better. And this last U.S. run, it felt like second nature. Like it takes a while. I played a long, long time in Slayer. Doesn't matter that I played with all those staff a long time, but there's Mark, there's Phil, and there's Kyle. There's new guys I got to deal with in my world, stage right to stage left. It took a long time for it to feel like second nature, and I truly believe now that's like if I mess up, it's because I'm daydreaming because I know the song so well now. And that happens, especially when it comes time that you're coming to an end of the tour and you think about going home. And I know this riff and I'm daydreaming over here and I go, fuck, I don't know what's coming next. So it's a very tight unit now, and the fans are becoming more familiar with the music. That's always awesome. and what we're doing on stage, like I said, you're second nature. So I'm looking forward to bringing it down to South America because South American shows are off the charts. And I wish it was this weekend. I'm ready to play.
Yeah, you talking about that. You spent like 40 years building a legacy on one of the biggest heavy metal bands ever. So you're starting again. How's that for you? Like you feel like you're starting again, something from the scratch, or what motivates you for that today to go on tour to play like 7 shows in a row in a week, something like that?
It's a little bit of both. Um, like we did our first show, we did a super small show on purpose. And we got there, and I went to the guys and went, "Welcome to starting over," because we were in a tiny room. Um, but on this headline tour, it gave me a more of an idea of where we really are in the world. And we're playing, I don't know, I think we did 1,000 to 1,500 seaters, like probably like Slayer was doing on record 2, maybe record 3. And it's fun, and we're all having fun. We all enjoy playing together, and after the shows, we all get to the backstage and see if anybody had any hiccups or how awesome something was. Um, then I told the guys, it's like, to me, it was like when Slayer was fresh, it's new and exciting.
Yeah.
Even though I've been here a long, long time ago, it's cool to be doing that with my guys.
And talking about the set list, I've seen the set list, and you always include like 4 or 5 Slayer songs, 2 Iron Maiden songs from the Paul Diano era. And what message does it send to the public?
Well, in a headline situation, you got to play 90 minutes ish. And my album's only 45 minutes, so I have to play something. And I know all the fans expect some Slayer songs, and I expect them to want to see that. So I picked from the pool of songs that I wrote or co-wrote, mixed them in with a bunch of my new songs, and we were always going to do Purgatory first, but I didn't know it. I knew some of it, and I went to Phil Demmel before I went to Australia, and I said, "Listen, I played Killers in the past. You want to do Killers?"
Yeah.
And then before we come back to America, I'll have Purgatory down, and we'll play them both together. And that's how that came out. So in Australia, we played Killers, and then we started doing Purgatory in America, and not announcing Killers, just going right into it. And the fans really loved that little 2-song blast of Iron Maiden. And it's important, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of those first 2 records. I'm a fan of a lot of the Bruce stuff too, but there's no denying the first 2 records were far funkier than anything after that.
Yeah, I agree. Paul Diano lived here in Brazil for like 10 years.
I didn't know.
He has a son here, and he's almost Brazilian. So for Repentless was produced by Terry Day. And when you recorded for From Hell I Rise, you choose Josh Wilbur. Why did you change? Because it was in my opinion, such a great job that Terry Day did with Repentless.
I love Terry Day.
Yeah.
Yeah, Terry's a good friend of mine, and I always planned on doing the next Slayer record with Terry Day. Always did. I thought about doing this one with Terry Day too, but at the end of the day, I wanted to take as few pieces from Slayer as I could, and I already had all those stuff.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't take Gary, because had I taken Gary, and then Slayer got back together last year, then it's the same band with a different singer.
Yeah.
And I wanted as few pieces from Slayer as I could take, just because I didn't want people to say, "Oh, it's Baby Slayer and Slayer 2.0."
Yeah,
They're going to say that anyway. So I didn't want to give them any more fuel. I have nothing against working with Terry Day in the future, but for this record, it made sense not to. And my friend at Rain Phoenix Music, he suggested Josh Wilbur. So we met at a dinner one evening, and I like Josh, but I didn't think we were going to work with him because his window wasn't open when I wanted to record. And after meeting and discussing stuff, he got back to Gerardo the next day or two and said, "Hey, I freed up my schedule if you want to do this." So we didn't. And I plan on doing record 2 with Josh Wilbur as well.
Ah, okay, nice. So you didn't pick Gary Holt, but at least you read his book. He's releasing this week. Was disaster.
I did not. Not because not getting anything about Gary Holt. I love Gary, but I just not a reader.
Okay, and what about your relation? You and Ton Araya, I have to ask, in particular, has always been quite reserved. What was it like for you with Jeff's death and the end of Slayer? Not the end of Slayer, but the you know what I mean. And where are you today, you and Ton Araya?
I think Jeff's passing weighed harder on Tom than it did me, and I don't mean that from any kind of friendship perspective. It's just my taking wasn't as bad as Tom took it. You understand?
Uh-huh.
Um, like, of course, it was horrible, and no one ever wanted that to happen, but it really weighed on Tom. And I think that's what led to him wanting to retire and earlier than me, because I think he felt the band was different.
Okay.
Um, but, then out of nowhere, Tom decided he wanted to play some shows last year, and I went, well, I never wanted to stop playing shows. So, yeah, let's try it out. But it's just like it was in Slayer, we don't talk on the phone. We rarely text each other. And that's just because when you're together for 40 years,
Yeah.
he became a very different person.
Yeah.
And
Grandfather now.
yeah, he's not the guy I started a band with.
Okay.
Not personally, just him. He's a different person. I basically stayed very similar to who I've been in my 20s. And I like Tom. We're cool. We got together. It wasn't weird. We did those 2 shows. He was super happy. We got together after the second one, had a shot after the show. Tequila. He'll drink tequila, and I love tequila, so that's what we had. And, I think the first idea to play this year was for the show we missed last year because of the hurricane.
Yeah.
So we rebooked that. I said, if we never play another show, I want to make that right with the promoter because, it wasn't our fault, but he wanted us to play, so we're playing there this year. And this year we get to play that Black Sabbath show.
Yeah.
Can't fucking wait.
I'm going to ask you about that. On 5th of July, you are going to play the last show ever of Black Sabbath with Metallica, with everybody.
Everybody.
Is that an honor for you, or is that an honor for them?
It's a huge honor for me. Huge honor for me. I was on tour when we had to pick the song we're going to play.
Okay.
And I was busy, I had a lot to do when we're on tour, and I waited way too long to pick a song because when I got to it, all the ones you'd expect us to play were taken. But I found a good one. I'm going to do that. I'm looking forward to seeing Metallica do theirs. I'm looking forward to see Alice in Chains do theirs. KK Downing's doing something.
Yeah.
Lucy Hale's going to do something. So there's a whole lot of things I want to see when I'm there. So I'm hoping they have a live feed backstage because I know I'm not going to be able to get on stage for a lot of that stuff. Just too many artists.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping there's live feeds backstage because I want to see a lot of the bands and see the songs we're doing.
And talking about Kiki Downing, and I know that you grow with inspiration on new wave of British heavy metal, Kiki Downing and Glenn Tipton, and what inspires you today? Is there some band, someone?
I mean, I inspire myself.
Okay.
Because I know the fans expect a certain thing from me and my band. But really, it's like people come and go, like Zach Wild hit the scene. I love Zach Wild.
Yeah.
Dime, other than being a great friend of mine, he was someone I looked up to. Probably one of the most gifted players of our generation. But then at the end of the day, I'll go watch Deep Purple videos of Richie Blackmore. I love watching Blackmore play. Yeah, love it. I found a video on YouTube. It's them doing Burn live in 1974, and it's amazing. is I go back and listen differently than I did when I was younger. Like now I realize what a great keyboard player John Lord is.
Yeah.
I never knew that because I didn't care. And now when you take it in, I'll just watch John Lord and go, and Ian Pace, holy shit, what a great drummer. You know? You can see I'm just a fan, and that stuff still excites me.
Okay. So my last question is, we have like the Mona Lisa from Leonardo da Vinci, we have the Sistine Chapel from Michelangelo, and we have Raining Blood from Slayer. Did you guys, everyone I talked to, remember the first time they listened to the record? It changed the game. So you remember the first time you listened to it, and after recording and mixing, and what was your impression? You knew that you just released a masterpiece.
No, really. No, all I remember about that time frame, I remember working on the songs, getting them ready to record, and before we went to record, I think that record came in at 34, 35 minutes.
Yeah,
But by the time we went in and recorded it, we played it so fast it came in at 29 and change.
yeah, 28.
Yeah. I thought it was super cool to put an entire record on each side of the cassette thinking.
Yeah,
I'm like, that's really cool. But to me and Jeff, it was just the next 10 songs. And it was our first real budget to work with a bigger label and a different, more known producer, engineer. So from Hell Awaits to Rain it was a huge step in a number of ways. The way we recorded, the quality of the recording, quality of the producer, the quality of the record label, and we had some pretty good songs on it.
yeah, definitely. So thank you very much for your time. Thanks for the music you brought to our lives and making our lives better with that. Thank you very much, sir.
Appreciate it.